Jerry here. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about one of the things that is near and dear to my heart, and that is telephone skills. I have good news and I have bad news. Good news is you're in business for yourself, you're a process server. Bad news is you're also selling something, and nothing happens until somebody closes a sale. What do I mean by that? Your clients, customers, if you will, same thing, are prospects before they decide to give you the business. When you are knocking on doors for an attorney firm, you're looking for clients. You're prospecting, cold calling, getting out of your comfort zone. Chances are you're not going to walk out of the office that day with business. They're going to call when they're ready. We've talked about putting up a website, putting advertisements out there, the purpose of which is to make the phone ring. If the phone rings 100 times a day and you're not able to elicit enough closing of the sale, collecting of the money, and serving the processes, it's not going to make you work. Focus on answering the phone, closing the sale. What I'm going to do now, as you can tell from the screen, I put in Process Server Phoenix, and just to be on the fair side, I'm going to put in Los Angeles, because I don't want to create any dissensions here in the Phoenix area. However, there are still some process serving firms showing up in the East Valley. So just for the heck of it, I am going to call cold as a prospect and let you listen in as to what is happening. This is live, real, and in your face stuff, unrehearsed. First, I'm going to let you hear what a prospect or prospective client will go through when they're looking to hire a process server. So if you will, assume I'm a pro per, walked out of the court, got on my cell phone, mobile device, typed in process server. This is what I see. And just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to go back and I will use Phoenix. So again, there's the maps. We talked about geotagging, paid ads here, organic here, and these of course are related directly to the map. So with that, we'll go with the first one here, and I'm going to call and ask how much to get an order of protection served. That's a little harder, a little more complicated. Usually you can charge a little more for it, and takes a little better skill set than the average individual to get personal service. So with that, I'm going to give them a call. And leave it on speakerphone. And that's the number one thing when you're doing this, is to answer the phone in a timely fashion, which so far has not occurred.
You've reached Valley-wide process service. We're not in right now. Please leave your name and number and...
Lesson 1. Most people will hang up after 3 or 4 rings, and they want an answer. They want an answer right now. A little later on in the video, I'll talk to you about generational differences and individuals and how to return calls and so on. So I'm going to go here. We'll get a couple of calls under our belt, then we'll go over the correct way to do it. and hopefully someone will answer with the correct method. We'll see. Yes, hi. I'd like to get a quote on getting some papers served, please.
Okay, what kind of documents do you need served?
Order of protection
And whereabouts would the service take place?
here in Mesa.
You have Major Front Street?
Yes, Brown and Higley.
Brown and Hickley. Okay, yeah, you'd be looking at a flat rate of $75 for 5 attempts.
Okay, and how does it work?
You can scan and email documents to us, then we'll shoot you a electronic link for payment. Once we see that it's paid, then we basically send the documents off for service. Upon completion, we do a declaration of service. We return the original to court, and we email you a copy for your records. That's generally how it works. You give us basically we have a request for service form on our website that we have you fill out, and that's where you're going to give us the information on the individual, scan and email a photo of the document, request form, that type of information, or you can bring it into our office as well if you like.
Alrighty, that just seems a little high. I've gotten some. I know there's someone online that says that they'll do it for $20 here in town. I'm
Well,
just.
good luck with that one, and I would tell you to definitely look at their review. Nobody's serving anything for $20. That's pretty much. I mean, that's so misleading. It's not even funny. That's basically they're just trying to get you to call them.
Okay, because I noticed on your site or online it said 58. That's why I called.
$58 that's a special that we're running right now for small claims and civil suits. Those suits can be served on anybody of suitable age and discretion that lives with the named party. The document that you have, however, is restrictive and it can only be delivered to the named party. So it does not fall in that special.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, you bet. Thank you.
Bye now. All right, that wasn't great, but it was okay. There was no controlling with questions or looking to get my needs addressed. Okay, I'm going to give Phoenix Process Server a call as far as the flat rate goes. Then we'll review some of the calls and I'll go over the results. Okay, so right now I've made 3 calls, 1 has answered. So I will go down here and try this one.
The ATSI group of companies. For the process serving division, press 1. To obtain a price quote for process service work, please press 1. To get status on a job we are
Please hold while I transfer your call.
This is Angus.
Yes, I'd like a quote on getting something served, please.
Sure. What were we serving?
I believe it's an order of protection.
Hello?
Yes, an order of protection.
Oh, order of protection. All right. Were we serving on one person?
Yes, correct.
What was the address we were going to?
It's in Mesa near Brown and Higley.
All right. On a routine basis, which is, we got first try to be 2 to 3 days. That'd be
Okay, and how many tries or attempts is that?
That gives you 5.
Uh-huh. I well can appreciate that. And how about getting the documents to you?
We can do it a couple ways. We have a couple offices located around the valley. We have one in Mesa, Scottsdale, South Scottsdale, North Scottsdale, kind of Central Phoenix and Peoria. But also, you can always email us or fax us over the copies too. That works.
Okay, how about paying you? Do you send me a bill then when it's done?
Payment is required up front. We can pay by credit card, or if you drop it off to one of the offices, you can pay by cash or check that way.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Alrighty, he did somewhere between poor and fair, but he gave it a good go. So I'm going to take a sip of water here, come right back, and go over what transpired during those calls. Yeah, that's better. Alrighty. Remember in some of the other videos, I mentioned about putting your focus on serving the needs of the person you're dealing with. There's an acronym, WIFM. What's in it for me? Me being, of course, the customer, the prospect. Nobody asked my name. Nobody asked urgency, how soon I'd like to get it done, which isn't going to impact what I need, but it could be an upsell for them if there's an urgency situation. Nobody asked where I'm located. Am I in town? Am I out of town? It all falls back on questions, presenting yourself in a professional light. For example, as I mentioned earlier, this one particular company, number one, doesn't have that, so that's a negative as soon as you call in to find out it doesn't exist. The second company I called, to their benefit, they did answer. However, what you see, 58, is not what they quoted. This could have said starting from, or, so on and so forth. The last one I was on hold and transferred for almost 45 seconds before I talked to someone. I did that so that I wanted to see if they finally wound up with a real live person. But most people will not, most prospect, client, they'll let it ring 2 or 3 times, hang up. If they don't get someone immediately, they'll hang up and move on. I cannot impress upon you the importance of having a real live person, yourself or an answering service, actually answer the phone when somebody calls. No one will hang up on a real live person when they hear, hello, this is so-and-so, how can I help you? So you've just increased your odds over someone like this that I hung up and some of the hang-ups down below. When somebody calls, they have a problem. The problem is they're owed money, someone's in complaint. They're concerned or afraid of an individual, order of protection, subpoena dues tecum, they need records, and so on and so forth. So the problem isn't getting the paper served, the problem is what the person would like to have happen that will be solved by the service of the paper. And someone's in complaint, money eventually will go from the other person's pocket to their pocket. That will not happen until you do your job of getting the paper served. Order of protection. They're looking for peace of mind to put this document, this peace of mind document, this what's going to happen, stay away from me, I'm afraid of you, into effect. A divorce document. If someone files for divorce, they'd like to have it over yesterday. Until the papers get served, nothing happens. The 20 days the clock does not start. So it's not getting the paper served, it's completing the divorce. And I'm going to give you an example, and I'll work both sides for simplicity's sake, as the prospect and then as the process serving company. So it will go something like this. The phone rings. Hello, thank you for calling process server. How may I be of assistance? Pause. And I'm going to say pause to make a point to step out of the role as the process serving company and the prospect so I can go over it with you and explain what I'm doing as I go. How may I be of service to you? There's a couple of different kinds of questions. There's a question that can be answered yes or no to, or what's called an open-ended question, where someone actually needs to give thought to the answer. In the instance just a moment ago where I said, thank you for calling process server, then, excuse me, dead air, the person has to say, they ask the question, can I get or do I want? Or can you serve a paper for me for X amount of money? There's a yes or no question. You have lost control. They're asking the questions because the last person in any conversation to ask a question is in control, aren't they? I just did in that instance, didn't I? You can see where this goes, can't you? Those are all learned techniques. Getting back to the example. So the person says, I would like to get some papers served. Thank you very much. How may I be of service to you? The responsibility is on the caller to explain the problem or what they need. Well, I need an order of protection served. Well, thank you, sir. We specialize in that, if you do. Or, absolutely, sir, we can get that done very quickly. Another question now is, what part of town does it go to? This is part of the qualification process that you're going to see as you move the prospect forward to close for the sale. Get the papers, get the money. Mesa, do you know what part of town or the address? And they provide that. Thank you very much. And how soon were you wanting this to be done? Perhaps, and if it's possible, sometime today or tomorrow. Now here comes the first testing, or what's called a trial close. Well, I'd like it done today. Pause. Now, you may or may not be able to get it done today, but here's where a sense of urgency can help get the documents to you. Your response could be, sure, that could be possible if I get the papers early enough, but if we couldn't get it out today, we certainly could pause, because I can say put it in queue. You're not promising them for it. You're not promising them today or tomorrow, but what you're saying is you can put it in the rotation or the float, the queue. But sure, if we get it today, we can put it in the queue and go ahead and schedule it to get out, hopefully sometime tomorrow or no later than the following day. Do you have access to a fax machine or a way to scan it in and send the documents over? Pause. That's called an assumptive close. That is, that they've already made the decision they're going to give you the business. You're just asking them the best way to get the papers to you. This is test close number 1. Well, I haven't decided yet. Then the buffer phrase is, I can appreciate that. May I ask you a question? They'll say yes. Remember, people will buy on a pause. People buy emotionally and then justify logically. No one else will ever ask him this question. And here we go. Well, I haven't decided who's going to do it yet. So, well, I can appreciate that. And if you don't mind, can I have to help me make a better decision? What was the triggering event that caused the order of protection to be issued? Pause. Now they get to tell you the problem that they're having. And of course, you are the one that can solve the problem. The more they explain it, the more emotional they get. You're building rapport, and the greater the opportunity you can close for the papers. So when they finish, say, well, I can appreciate this, sir. Another buffer. Oh, by the way, what part of town are you in? Pause. If need be, would you be willing to pick the papers up? Are they in Ajo or Tucson or LA, or are they just up the street from you? Claiming more information, building rapport. The longer you can keep them on the phone answering competent, good qualifying questions, the greater the probability is you will get their business. Well, I'm at such and such, but I don't have access to a fax machine or an email, a scanner. Alrighty, sir. Are you near an Office Max, a Federal Express Office Max or UPS store? Pause. Because they can scan them or send them in over there, you're helping to solve his problem. The more you can help them solve their problem, the greater the probability you'll get their business. And talk about objections just for a minute and problems. Going back here, when they pull this page up, they think they're going to get it done for $20, for $58, for $60. We'll do it cheap, cheaper, cheapest. Nowhere does it say quality, competency, or trust. Nowhere here does it say they're licensed. I know they're licensed. You know they're licensed. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say quality. Doesn't say Better Business Bureau. Doesn't say bonded. Doesn't say insured. No building of credibility whatsoever. Cheap, fast. This is fear. Don't let your case get dismissed. If you don't call me, you're going to lose in court because no one else can do it. That's the covert message. Here you can ease of getting the papers to them, but no reason as to why you would also like why I as a client would bring them the papers. Then they give me an address, which doesn't really impress me if I'm out in the East Valley, North Valley, or West Valley. And I can tell from this phone number we talked about marketing lines, having a landline. That's a cell phone. So they're not getting any exposure at all on this map. These folks are right here. So how to handle I can get it done for less. Will it work all the time? Absolutely not. You're going to get everybody who calls in are going to give you their papers and pay you money to get them served? Absolutely not. But out of that imaginary calls I used a little while ago, if you can get 10, 15, 20% and then increase it to 15, 20, or 25%, you've just given yourself a raise. So I'm going to go back into role play here just for a minute. Again, I'm going to be the company that answers the phone. I'm also going to do the client side, and I'll use pause to interject my thoughts. And I will not even talk about this because that's beyond being an honest ad. So $58. So I answered the phone. Hello, process server. Yes, I'd like to get some papers served. How much do you charge? Pause. The cheapest price here will win. They don't equate value. They don't equate getting the job done right the first time. Say, well, I can appreciate that. May I ask you a couple of questions? Pause. There is the question. You've asked them, can you ask a question? You already asked the question. So after you're in control, no one will ever say no. So may I ask you a couple of questions? Yes. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Pause. Now, in none of the calls earlier did any of the people I spoke with ask for my name, which is building rapport. The most important word in anybody's vocabulary, the most important word to anyone you speak to is their name. So, may I ask you a couple of questions? May I ask you a question? Yes. First off, my first name is Jerry. I offer the name. And your first name, because people are more comfortable with that than the last name, your first name is Bob. Bob, now pause. A compliment and a question. Thank you so much for calling and giving us the opportunity to assist and to get your needs addressed. It's all a pause. It's all about them. Here comes building credibility. Thank you for giving us a chance to address your needs. Oh, by the way, we are licensed, bonded, and insured, and a member in good standing of the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating, if you are. And we work off a flat fee basis, if you do. We specialize in competent service, getting it in when possible and out the same day or not the next day. And oh, by the way, how soon would you like this to go out? Did you have today in mind, or perhaps tomorrow or the following day as soon as possible? They'll say yes. Not a problem. And then you close. Do you have access to a fax machine or a way to scan it in? But how much? Sure, I can appreciate that, sir. We offer, as I mentioned, a flat rate. Pause. Now you tell them everything they get for the flat rate. If you pick it up, include pickup. Say, we'll get the papers from you the same day. We'll put them in queue. If there's a way to get them out that day or the next day, we will do it at no additional charge. In addition, we'll make several attempts, some in the morning, some in the evenings, some in the middle of the day, nights or weekends. Here comes a benefit. Pause. Here comes a benefit. At no additional charge. We do not charge for mileage, nights, weekends, or holidays. Pause. The other people may not do that either, but you're the one who's going to tell them that, and they'll remember you. So, no extra charge for nights, weekends, or holidays. By the way, would you like to get those papers to us electronically, or, and at this point, if you'd like to pick them up, or would it be best served if we pick them up from you? Well, I would like to call, here comes the client again, I'd like to call around and check with some other people. Not a problem. Here goes control, and the tense close again. Do you have a pencil or paper handy? Here, I'd like to, if you will, just write down these 3 words: licensed, bonded, and insured. And pause. Here comes a buffer, another benefit. And if this is true, it's a very strong tool. Here we go. Oh, by the way, licensed, bonded, insured, write that down. Flat fee, no extra charges. And I am the person who's going to knock on the door. I am the one who's going to do the serve. And I encourage you to call, get some other pricing. That's important, but please make sure that they're licensed, bonded, and insured, work off a flat fee, and the person you talk to is the one that's going to go knock on the door, that they're not just going to give it to someone who's just started. In addition to the serve, we file the original proof of service with the court and provide you with a copy as well. Any other questions I can answer for you at this time? No. Thank you very much, and hang the phone up. Now, hopefully you've learned some interesting options in this last call, as well as some techniques that can save you some time, money, and close more business. Remember, you're a process server, but you're in business for yourself. And someone once said, nothing happens until somebody sells something. You have your services as a process server to sell. No one's going to bring you anything unless you ask for it. And you ask for it by asking for the order, the papers, faxed, email, meeting them, picking them up, whatever it takes. I'm going to go into the next video with some additional tips and suggestions on improving your telephone skills. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you in the next video.